In today's video, we'll finally be covering the long-awaited and highly requested Zombie Superman. No, not even the iconic Blue Boy Scout was safe from the deadly anti-life equation that turned him and the others from his world into bloodthirsty monsters. His story is certainly long and wild, so without further ado, hit the gym to get buff like Daddy Cavill, sit back, relax, and enjoy the full gory story of Zombie Superman. Who is he? Zombie Superman, like many of the supers from his world, was infected with a bizarre otherworldly illness that transformed them into crazed monstrous creatures. He comes from an alternate dimension whose origins are nearly identical to the main universe Superman's from the DC Prime Earth. This all came to a crashing halt one fateful day when the big bad Darkseid came to Earth, where he managed to kidnap Cyborg. Knowing that Victor's body held the key to awakening the ancient anti-life equation, Darkseid fused him with a mother box and the blood of death. As expected, this heinous experiment caused Cyborg to become a carrier for an ancient illness which infected Darkseid, driving him into the heart of the planet Apocalypse, completely destroying it. Before the calamity, Darkseid's right-hand simp Desaad sent Victor back to Earth in a boom tube before any more damage could be done. This would teleport the infected hero right in the crowded streets of Metropolis, where the onlooking citizens took out their phones and began snapping photos of the man. Getting their comeuppance for using a dude's injury to go viral, Cyborg inadvertently made them all go viral when his infected system came into contact with their phones. This then caused any of these phone users to become infected with the anti-life virus themselves, clawing into their faces and brutally attacking any who stood in their way. The first to hear of this devastation was the Man of Steel himself, who instantly flew outside, completely shocked of the carnage around him. Quickly realizing what was spreading the disease, Superman quickly rocketed home, where his wife Lois, son Jonathan, and son of Batman Damian Wayne were all relaxing. As John went to check his phone, Superman then burst through the window and, like any good dad, proceeded to melt the kiddo's phone right in front of him with his heat vision. Honestly, good riddance. Sometimes I wish Superman would just come down and melt all of our phones. The virus would spread like wildfire, as not even Batman was fast enough to prevent the likes of Robin and Nightwing from becoming infected, who in turn infected him. Even Green Lantern was forced to be taken out by Black Canary after he turned and tried to kill her and Green Arrow. This then resulted in his ring in search of a new replacement, which it found in Dinah, making her the new Green Lantern of Earth. The pair were then recruited by Superman, who was trying to form any semblance of a resistance that he could against this quickly growing threat. Aboard a city rooftop, the heroes are contacted by an infected Batman who is using one of Mr. Freeze's suits to slow the spread of the virus in his body. Using the little time he had left, Bruce told Clark that in order to stop this, they would have no choice but to kill the infected and would have to take out the entire internet. Telling Damian that he loved him and had a parting gift for his son, Bruce soon turned, where he was shot to death by Alfred. Dealing with the loss of his friends and foes, Superman would use his powers to fly around the world, allying himself with others, and saving as many as he could from becoming infected. One of the most heart-wrenching things he would have to encounter would be when he went to his earthly home in Kansas to check on his parents. Much to his sadness, Ma Kent would reveal that Clark's father Jonathan too had turned, where she had locked him inside their barn. Opening the door to the building, we see a bloodied monstrous Jonathan who went to attack Superman. Of course, being no match for the Man of Steel, the heartbroken hero could not bring himself to kill his father. He would then lock him in the barn basement, which he sealed with his heat vision, where he then flew his mother to safety. Joining forces with the surviving Justice League members, it would appear things were alright for the moment. That is, until the heroes were met by a zombified Captain Atom. Man, only thing worse than a superpowered zombie is a superpowered nuclear zombie. Honestly, sounds like an ideal Zack Snyder villain. As the infection tore the hero's body apart, the energy began leaking out, which completely destroyed the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. Working alongside Wonder Woman, Superman tried to fly the infected Captain Atom as far away as possible, but it was too late, which resulted in a giant nuclear explosion of energy that completely destroyed major cities such as Washington, Baltimore, and even Clark's home city of Metropolis. Having survived the blast with Diana, Clark looked on in horror at the devastation. There would be a small glimmer of hope though, as the new Black Canary Green Lantern had used her powers to save a small bubble of survivors, which did include Superman's wife Lois. It is here that we would even see Jeff Bezos himself, Lex Luthor, who had managed to survive. Totally not in the mood for Lex's nonsense, Superman told the guy to stand down, only for Lex to call a truce, and that he was not here to fight, and wanted to help salvage what was left of their world. Over the course of the next several days, Superman and the Justice League worked together to take down every major internet and broadcasting server in the world to prevent any more people from becoming infected via technology. They were ultimately successful, leaving the only way to turn through physical contact. Rounding up as many survivors as they could, the League members then rallied at the Fortress of Solitude, where Cyborg and Lex Luthor worked on plans to construct giant spacecraft arcs that they could transport the remaining people off-world. At first hesitant to abandon his planet, Clark knew it was for the best, where he and Flash used their super speed to build the giant escape crafts. During this time, the Justice League would get to say their goodbyes to their fallen friends, and it would appear they were finally getting ahead of this otherworldly outbreak. In classic horror movie fashion though, they were all deadly mistaken, where out of nowhere, they all began to feel horrendous demonic-like screeching in their heads. Before they realized what was going on, an invisible force blew a hole right through Lex, tearing the former villain right in half. This was revealed to be the actions of a zombified Martian Manhunter who promptly proceeded to infect the Flash. Having no time for Zombie Shrek, Firestorm powered up and used his abilities to fry poor John Jones to a crispy Martian roast. As the group then looked for the infected Flash, they realized he was already long gone, out to spread the virus. With Wally opting to stop him, Superman told the hero that they could not afford any more speedsters to turn. Vowing to stop Flash himself, Clark then flew to space to see just where Barry was on Earth. He then used his super speed to fly around the globe in the opposite direction of Flash, so the pair would eventually collide head-on. This then resulted in an unstoppable force meets immovable object scenario, where Superman flew right through the hero A-Train style, resulting in a gory mess all across the ocean's surface. Traumatized at the loss of his friend, Superman would not have too long to mourn, as he soon realized that the impact of this collision was so great that some of Barry's infected fingers had actually managed to pierce his Kryptonian skin. Knowing that he did not have long, Clark rocketed to Wally and revealed his situation so he could contact his family through the Speed Force. Saying his farewells to his mother and his wife, the Big Blue Boy Scout gave a heartfelt farewell to his son John, who he entrusted the mantle of Superman to. Like a missile, Superman then took off to space in an attempt to deprive his body of oxygen before the virus could fully take over. However, it was too late for Clark, who was soon long gone, where his primal side took over as he became a full-on zombie Man of Steel. Fueled with a newfound hunger for blood, this infected Superman then plummeted to Earth as he tore through a skyscraper, killing countless innocent lives in the process. Seeing this unforeseen turn of events play out, an older Damian Wayne, who is the new Batman, revealed his father's contingencies for events like this. He then takes out a supply of Bruce's kryptonite, which the team planned to use to create a massive gas cloud that would at least slow the hero down. Knowing this would not be enough, Wonder Woman took the shard to Themyscira, where she infused it with the Sword of Athena, thus combining two of Superman's weaknesses, both kryptonite and magic, into one sick-looking holy emerald blade. While half the team loaded up the remaining refugees from Atlantis into the Ark, Wonder Woman led the other half into battle with Superman to keep him distracted as the pods flew off to space. This then resulted in a bloody battle where Green Lantern held the crazed Kryptonian long enough until Wonder Woman came in like an absolute savage, where she sliced the dude's arm off and stabbed him right through the stomach. Sorry Darth Vader, but Wonder Woman did the whole arm slicing thing, way better. While you'd think a kryptonite sword right through the gut would at least slow down Superman, he still got his payback as he punched a hole right through Diana, infecting her as well. As the Amazon's wounded body plummeted to the ground, she gave Dinah the kryptonite sword, pleading for her to stop this. Sensing the life forms aboard the Ark, the anti-life Superman then flew off to space to spread the virus to who he could. Sensing his zombie space daddy quickly approaching, Jonathan Kent suited up and faced Superman head-on right outside the Ark colony. He was soon met by Dinah, looking even cooler with her newfound blade, who came for the assist in battle. The pair were not alone, as they were soon greeted by Guy Gardner and the whole Green Lantern Corps, who were not about to let this world fall by a one-armed Henry Cavill. Seeing that he was clearly outnumbered in this situation, the anti-life virus within Superman's body calculated that he was no match for this fight and took off. With the Green Lanterns in hot pursuit, the Guardians were rather shocked to see the dude bail and straight up fly right into the sun. While literally anyone else would have been burned harder than Anakin Skywalker miscalculating the high ground, Kal-El was still a Kryptonian and was powered by the sun's rays. He thus began feeding off the sun's energy and began slowly absorbing it into his infected body. Not being powerful enough to reach the sun and pull Superman out, the Green Lanterns all pretty much said this was a fight for another day. Yeah, I feel you guys there. A fully solar-powered zombie Superman, you just don't get paid enough to deal with that. As Superman enjoyed his solar-powered Happy Meal, Jonathan, Lois, and the rest boarded the Ark and set off in space in search of a better life, far from this hell that they had encountered. Over the next several years, both Jonathan and Damian grew into young men, thus becoming the new Batman and Superman, honoring the fathers that they had lost. They received a distress signal from Earth, where a party returned and discovered a headless cyborg had learned that there may be a potential cure for this plague. After being forced to kill a still infected Wonder Woman and gravely injuring Jonathan, the son of Superman would live on, and the gang would go on a very long and convoluted adventure, which I can't explain in more detail in a full DC story video. This journey would eventually place Cyborg in the Mobius chair, where he would learn the full formula for the cure of the virus, which would require him to recode his blood. Victor would eventually succeed in creating a cure, which would prove to be successful against anyone infected, even extremely powerful types such as the New Gods. After mass-producing the injection, Wally West and Jonathan would then go throughout the globe, using their speed to cure as many citizens as they could find. Jonathan would also cure his grandfather Pa Kent, who, yes, was still down the basement after all this time. God, can you imagine how he must smell after not showering for legit years? After curing many of their friends who were still alive, Jonathan finally knew it was time to confront his father in an attempt to save him. He and several others then made their way to space, where they found a still very angry, and very naked, Clark Kent consuming the sun's energy. Preparing the cure, Jonathan rocketed into the heart of the burning star, where he dueled the zombie Kal-El. After a fierce fight, the mad Kryptonian was restrained by the heroes, where Jonathan was able to deploy the vaccine. With their fates unknown if things worked, Jonathan and the rest would later return to Earth with a cured and freshly clothed Superman decked out in a sweet new robot arm. He would then embrace his long-lost family as the world would welcome back their greatest champion, which they thought they had lost. He would then join the fight against the undead with his son and the other Justice League members to save their reality and avenge their fallen friends before them. And that is the full gory story of Zombie Superman. This one had been a long time coming, for I was waiting for the third installment of DC's comics to wrap up, so I made sure I had the story on everything that happened to Clark. Superman is one of the greatest characters to exist, and unlike the fates of iconic heroes and Marvel zombies, I'm very relieved that he was able to be cured and got a happy ending in this world of loss. The entire story of DC's was awesome, and hopefully we get an animated version of it from Warner Brothers that's hopefully at least better than the Injustice movie was. I of course will be covering the whole trilogy of the DC story, so be tuned for future videos. More than anything, I would love to know what you think. Did you know this about Zombie Superman? Was there something I missed? What other characters should we cover? Sound off in the comments. Also be sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed today's content, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon to be notified of all of our latest videos. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the music in this video, the intro and outro were made by my boy Ognihs. You can check out his Spotify in the link below. You can also chat us up on Discord, also in the link below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, you are awesome and loved. God bless, and I will see you in the next one.